Joining me today to discuss cybersecurity is Paul Myer, CEO of Veracity. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Sid.
There's a lot of areas in cybersecurity. That's the area I cover. And could you just, to frame this discussion, kind of position where you fit, where Veracity fits within the cybersecurity space?
So what Veracity has built is a platform based on software-defined networking that provides an on-premises, centralized configuration control and monitoring platform for all connected devices. And instead of just detecting cyber events and alerting, we actually can prevent those events before they occur. And what's elegant about the Veracity approach is that we are able to accomplish this by repurposing the existing switch infrastructure without adding additional complexity to the network.
Oh, that's very interesting. You know, one of the things I hear from all of my clients is unplanned downtime. It's the big nemesis for people. So do your products address that? And if so, how would you describe what you can do for them in that area?
So because we sit at the central orchestration point on the network, we're able to determine the communications between all connected devices by policy. And so we can ensure that only those communications that are dictated by the system itself are allowed to take place.
You know, another thing that we see an awful lot today is, particularly with the industrial Internet of Things, is a lot of disruptive technologies now being onto the plant shop floor. What would you say? I assume you deal with that a lot. And what kind of disruptive technologies do you think are driving the biggest issues today?
Well, what we've seen is that as more and more analytics are taken to the edge of the network, what that means is that networks that were never really designed for edge-based analytics and predictive analytics in particular, they're now being asked to take a lot more data from the edge and take it all the way back to the control layer. And what we've been able to do, we've identified software-defined networking as the best way to open up those lines of communication by providing a network infrastructure that can handle the data, but can also control that data as it moves its way back through the network to the operator.
Does your company actually offer edge gateway devices?
So really in software-defined networking, you're able to virtualize the entire attack surface. And what that means is that we don't really need edge devices because we execute all the way down at the switch layer. And those switches, as you know, go all the way down to the actual control systems themselves. And all traffic that goes through those switches is completely configurable and controllable.
That's very interesting. Excuse me. Is your company developing any products? Artificial intelligence, people are using that with respect to a lot of the data, what we were just discussing. So is that something you're supporting or have products for that?
So because we sit all the way at the edge of the network, we have the ability to do deep packet inspection, and it's the ideal platform for both machine learning as well as the application of artificial intelligence technologies.
You know, a big thing that I see in the cybersecurity market in particular is partnerships. And I'm just wondering if you could share with us your strategy or what you're doing from a partnership perspective or partnering you're looking for.
That's a good question, Sid, and it's central to our go-to-market strategy. What we're executing in industrial networks is really a sea change in the way that networks are designed. And so it's very important that we have really three types of partners. So the first type is we are building relationships with switch vendors. We're a software company, so we don't build hardware. And so we actually, one of our investors is Microsemi that builds chipsets for industrial switch vendors. And we're now taking those chipsets, going to those switch vendors, outlining the advantages of software-defined networking, which is really the next generation of switch technology, and working to establish those standards for next generation switches that these vendors are bringing out. The second type of partner are our ICS vendors. So the folks who are building the systems that we're managing, it's very important that we're in lockstep with their objectives and the way that they work with their customers. And then really the third type are the systems integrators that work with those ICS vendors. And every ICS vendor is different. And so, our objective is to work with them in the way that they work best with their customers, because ultimately the customer is going to dictate how they want to buy product, how they want it supported, and what's most important to them.
Well, thank you, Paul. This has been very, very interesting. We've been speaking with Paul Myer, CEO of Veracity. Thank you for watching.